welcome back to BLOCKTV, that time of the week once again for Blockchain and Booze, where we gather the wheelers and dealers of the cryptosphere and try to have them answer correctly after getting them drunk. But more to the point, joining us today, returning guest, ambassador at the Bitcoin Embassy, Sarah Weisner. Hello to you. A new victim with us, who's probably really worried right now, is Gal Hochberg, CEO, co-founder at Clear. As we said, an adult in the room, Adva Gal, head of Jaguar Lawyers. Nice to have you. And we cannot do this last but not least without Elon Aviv, co-founder and CEO at Common. And we're going to jump straight to, folks, we're going to talk about Brexit because it's just the funniest issue out there nowadays. But that said, according to data collected by Syndicator, a market intelligence firm, at least 62% of analysts polled believe that the upcoming Brexit will have a positive impact on the market for digital assets and cryptocurrencies. 74% of all surveyed parties are considering cryptocurrencies as an addition to their portfolio. That's a large number. So is this a kind of geopolitical shakeup that is actually the one that cryptos are waiting for? What do you guys think?
Craig Wright is a scam. I think, I don't know if Brexit is going to happen, and if it's going to happen, I don't know if it's going to affect the Bitcoin price, because like Bitcoin price goes down when there's good news sometimes, especially in the bear market. Yeah, nah.
Nah.
When there was the Greece crisis, a lot of people thought Bitcoin would go up. It didn't really pump or anything.
But
yeah.
in defense of the Greek, or of the Greek crisis, so to speak, it was several years ago. I think about 5 years ago, and the sphere itself, the crypto sphere, wasn't as mature. Yeah. People would argue as it is today.
So maybe they should start taking out billboards in Britain.
No, but truly, I mean, who's thinking? Let's say Brexit can leave at the end of the day. Exactly. If Brexit happens the way it's heading to right now, then the Brits have no choice. But actually, the EU kind of says farewell in the middle of April. Sorry, on April 12th, I think, which is around the corner. Couldn't that be a boost?
So, okay, let me start by saying that Craig Wright is a scam.
I think everybody's going to do that, okay?
Yeah, and we can, I'm going to be, I don't know if this is a little bit extremist, but Brexit is going to happen very soon. Either way, this is not good for anyone, definitely not good for the economy, which is already in a terrible, terrible situation. The U.S. government has been printing thousands of dollars trillions of dollars, for the past 10 years, and Brexit will happen with the credit bubble starting to burst, and it's going to contribute to it. And I think that at the end, within 6-8 years, we're going to see the entire financial system as we know it today collapsing.
But don't we think that people would gravitate to cryptos? Let's say if they see that Brexit is happening, their money is devalued. I mean, the sterling, every time that the Parliament in the UK essentially throws back another Theresa May exit plan, the sterling falls. So what do we think?
Yeah, so I think this will be, this is the value proposition of Bitcoin. This is the value proposition of this entire thing. It's money that's created within the system. It's not the central banks. It's no one person or a group of people deciding. So this is the ultimate,
It could be the case, not the case study, but it could be the scenario. And I'm wondering legally, if Britain itself is not really set up regulation-wise for those cryptocurrencies, can they thrive in that type of an environment?
Well, first I must say that Britain is relatively the more regulated countries towards cryptocurrency as is. Relatively speaking, right. And if you look at the Brexit, it's kind of like exiting any central control of finance and currency as is. It's just dispatching and going away from any central governance of that. So it is a part which the blockchain and Bitcoin and other currencies are more major part of that. So it's kind of a step in a way. It's actually supporting that. It could support it in one more way, as my colleague has said, that going away from a central control and maybe falling apart of the sterling will give it even more confidence and more support into choosing cryptocurrency instead of fiat currency.
That's actually a good point. I'm wondering with you guys, do the regular or so-called the old school currencies need to completely fall apart for cryptos to rise, or
They
Bitcoin?
will in any case, even if crypto doesn't rise.
But they haven't yet. I mean,
Yeah, but I think, like, I don't know, we haven't seen it, but a lot of people that explain how it makes sense that they'll fall apart, and it's happened before in history. It's gonna happen. That has to happen.
I want to be the conservative voice in the
Please
room.
be the conservative voice.
So we still have faxes. People are using faxes. You think they haven't fallen apart, even though physically they
Fax
sometimes
USD.
do. Yeah, well, exactly. So I think that
There are actually still people using faxes. right?
Well, the government
I need to
institutions.
use faxes.
That's true.
I'd
So-
say
so-
lawyers
I
use
agree.
faxes
There
and
we go.
messengers as well, and they actually send away papers,
Yep,
real papers.
physical papers.
It's hilarious.
So what I'm saying is, I think betting on the conventional currency system that is running most people's lives is falling apart. That would be sort of a big bet. I do think, though, that what's interesting about the Brexit situation.
No.
It's a big bet to keep believing in it. This
No,
is just
what I'm-
like
you know-
numbers running around. Everyone's like, I can't understand it. It's economics. And they're just doing whatever they want.
So what I want to
It's a
say,
big-
what
it's
I
a
want to say
big-
is the following: there's
But
these people
yes.
who have been working on building a system, and it's been making lots of people's life well. You know, you can go to the store, you can buy stuff that works. And that makes a lot of us
Still.
very happy. It still works, right?
Still works.
And those same people now have a new problem. They have a problem that's called Brexit. They want to keep doing business. They want to keep trading. They want to keep having assets. They want to keep doing interactions in ways that they did before. And now they're going to have a new tool. A tool that isn't affiliated with central bodies, a tool that lets you build things in a way that wasn't possible before. And we may see, and I don't like to give predictions about prices or anything like that, but we may
But
see
we love
that-
those. Okay, just
What?
one.
But we
Appreciate it.
what we may see is that the people who built the old system are now using the new tools. And now these are not enemies anymore, because at the end of the day, governments want people to be happy and to that's what their business is.
Wrong. With power.
To be controlled.
Yeah.
People to be controlled.
I think that there is, let's say there's an economy of stresses that happen, and now there's a new tool. Will that tool become more a tool for government? I don't know, but will it be good for the tech, for the underlying assets? I think that in general, yes, because they'll try that as a new tool to solve the problems.
So I see a scenario where you would have a British pound backed by Bitcoin. Like, this is a scenario that could play out. You could have a public Bitcoin address of the English government, and you'll see that all of this pounds that are going around, all of these sterlings, then they are backed by something. At least there's something attached to it, as it was, before 71 with the US dollar.
I was about to say, I mean, first of all, is Bitcoin at the phase where it can back the sterling? That's one. And secondly, though, it's a conservative good view. Two questions. If it's just used as a tool for the old system, where's the revolution? That's one. And two, because people still use faxes, which I think is really a great example of, they still use faxes, messengers, whatnot. Isn't that also one of the things that hinders mass adoption, be it whether there's Brexit or not, because people, not the people in this room, but the greater public is just not ready for it.
Legacy systems have always been a barrier to new technologies, always. And I think the great thing is the ability to cooperate between the two technologies, the two worlds, the old world, the fiat world, and the new world. It'll take time, and it's migration and graduation. It will take time for currency to graduate into a totally distributed one.
Exactly.
And that will take some generations, I think. It'll be faster than before, but it will still take time.
You're saying that?
No, why do you have to win with a knockout? You could have,
Yeah.
let's say,
Wow.
let's say
I don't
30%.
know. Why do we have to win with a
Let's say
knockout?
this
It's
is-
not a
the old
question I
system
expect in
is breaking
2019.
down.
I'll
That's
give you a deal.
But it
Let's
will
say- I'll
remain
give you- I'll
alive.
give you-
It will remain alive like the old system
If I
for a
give you-
really long time.
If I give you a magic wand, 30% of all global value is now in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Do you take that deal?
What?
30% of all global value.
No, it isn't.
Do you take that deal?
No, he said,
What?
let's say you
What?
had the
Let's
magic
say
wand.
You get
Okay.
the wand,
I'll say
30%.
this.
It depends. Other stuff, not just money.
I'll say this: 100% within the next 100 years. Gradually.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Within the next 100 years, everything is
No,
going to move
30% is
to
good.
decentralized currencies.
Because you mean you
No,
got
I
to
would
start
take it.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes to and also a question: if not everything needs to fall, because in Greece, and one can even argue Venezuela right now, where cryptos, can or could save the day, but
Yeah.
it's still not happening.
So we're all hoping the whole world
Why
falls
is it not
apart
happening though? Because of that?
Exactly.
for Bitcoin to rise. I mean, that's not. I don't think that's the aim. You want the world to be like a good place and sustainable. If it takes a long time for Bitcoin to come in, that's good. I personally think that I don't even know, like more than I'm sure that Bitcoin will succeed. I know that the old system is falling apart, and our society, and our Western society is falling apart, and it's very degraded. So like Bitcoin is obviously a good option, and you just like you need to like see how you can like help more people. I guess maybe just like save in it if they're really like we think they're going to lose all their dollars and their pensions. And just like watch, like you need to like lean back and watch the world burning because it is like burning. That's my.
I agree, and it's going to take people. They're going to have to feel it. They're going to have to lose their money. They're going to have to understand that they've lost all their savings, only to understand that
So they need a
there was
Brexit
this.
brouhaha.
That's a very dark vision.
Yes, but it's what will happen.
But
It's what will
Bitcoin was
happen.
invented, the white paper came out after 2008,
Yes.
which people have lost 50% of their assets.
And
It was a good push for that, and in 2011 also made another push to the Bitcoin. So my colleague is right in a way that you need to feel the pain in order to develop something new. However, they can live side by side for a very long time. As if in Venezuela it hasn't happened and they have most of the pain right now, then we can't deal with that. We can't say that the more pain you have, then the more you develop it, because it hasn't happened there and they need it the most.
No, all valid points. Moving along, though, to our next topic, and that's the tools that make the sphere possible, so to speak. Over the weekend, two large mining rig manufacturers, Canaan Creative and Bitmain Technologies, announced the sale of their next-generation devices. Both firms are gearing up to sell the new products this spring, as a slew of mining operations have been prepping up new facilities in order to take advantage of the wet season in China, when electricity prices are set to drop. Once again, hoping to capitalize then. So first of all, do we think the mining crisis is over?
I don't think there was ever a mining crisis. Like, I actually don't think
There are those who would argue that there has been
some people turned it off because they were mining, just because Bitcoin was so high. But right now the all-time high of hashing power is right now the hashing power is very close to the all-time high of peak 2017, early 2018. So the hashing power is actually coming back, and I know they were saying back in the day they were saying that China is banning mining and all these type of FUD. It was complete FUD. There was
Really?
Yeah, 100%. And I was talking about this back when it happened. I'll say a little thing about this. It's Bloomberg that published and started this entire FUD, and I'm pretty sure their friends at CMOE and CME pay them to do this, so they'll be able to short Bitcoin.
Okay, we don't have proof, but that's your theory.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was pretty clear because they took news from like 3 months before. They didn't even say anyway.
Look, one can
So it's
argue
fake
that
news.
people say that mining is incredibly bad for the environment, but at the end of the day, so is every computer farm.
Buy
But-
Antminer 17 today. Order it in the pre-order and put it on your coffee table. That's my message.
Okay.
No, but
There's no
there's
specifications
also-
yet, but I trust it. I'm sure it's great, especially that Bitmain failed to IPO. That must be a good one.
Okay.
There's
But you were
also
saying-
research that about 18% of Bitcoin mining is done from renewable energy, as opposed to about 8% from the rest.
No,
rest of the
that's a great argument, and anybody who's saying that Bitcoin will destroy the planet, because at the end of the day, everybody can just move to clean energy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then nobody will destroy
And Bitcoin
anything.
will push
But-
clean energy. That's what will happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
But when it comes to the mining crisis, if there was no mining crisis, is that something though? Was this the so-called mining spiral of death story, or just one big exaggeration? That's what I'm
I
wondering.
think it was an exaggeration, a complete
Exaggeration?
exaggeration.
Plus, this is the supply side of the chain. You lower, if there's some kind of a crisis and you lower the supply, what will happen to the price? It will rise, like in all things in nature. So it's like in building apartments in Israel, for example. If you don't build enough, the population grows, the prices will go up.
Speaking
Same
from
goes here.
experience
Yeah.
entirely. Okay. Mining crisis over? I don't know. I'm conservative.
Well, I'm not sure that.
There's that.
I don't know. I think that I sense there's a lot of Bitcoin sentiment in the room, but I think that a bigger question for mining is, how does mining look like when the proof of stake or stuff like that gets shaken out? If it doesn't work, then great, that's awesome.
It's
That's
being
so good.
shaking out. Like Ethereum promised it for years. They said they're going to move to it last year. If it was working already, if they trusted it, they would have already had it.
Which is why I'm saying it's not. We haven't conclusively understood whether it works or doesn't work. I think that what's interesting about mining is that when a new chip comes out, that actually is something that mostly makes money for the chip providers because the market has to then align to that new chip. So I see that as a cost for miners and nothing else. Because you can now hash for cheaper. The amount of hashing is aligned with the price of Bitcoin. I'm not sure I understand the full dynamics, but it doesn't look like something that should significantly improve the way that mining works in general.
No, very true in that. So hype in that respect. I'm wondering who is behind that this time around. More hype, though. More hype, guys. Moving on. The combination of 5G and blockchain technology has many experts believing it could unleash a surge of economic value.
Yeah,
This year, major carriers like AT&T and Verizon will be introducing 5G, the latest generation of cellular mobile communication. The 5G platform brings a high data rate, reduced latency, energy savings, cost reduction, higher system capacity, and massive device connectivity. I hope you're sold by now. These devices should now be able to do a better job leveraging the security, decentralization, immutability, and consensus arbitration of blockchains, which has got many DLT fans excited. Are we heading towards mass adoption with 5G, or have they just, hyped it up again?
Definitely not sold on it.
Oh, come on, tell me why, please.
If you want real, good IoT, it needs to be open source. So if it's not open source, forget it. Just more spyware and just all kinds of stuff you don't really need, like this late stages like capitalism. Also, something that's just being pushed by the system like this, rolling it out. Yeah, AT&T, so fast if it's being pushed by the system so hard. I want this 100 kilometers away from me. I don't need it.
But can we be can we be that suspicious about anything that has the mark of,
Nowadays, I think it makes sense. It's a smart thing. It's responsible to be suspicious of it. And I don't think it's really, really important, and I really hope it doesn't come to my.
No, I'm going to play devil's advocate in a second, but before we do need to wake up Benny, the blockchain bartender. Hello, Benny, the blockchain bartender, is here to serve and assist. And before because this is a much bigger, I think, question about the whole sphere, which I'm going to lead you to. But first, everybody needs a bit of a topping. Yep. You've got beer, I think. There you go.
There you go.
Because really, we can't do this without booze, folks. You just missed your vodka, girl. My kind of lady. Okay.
So,
can this not be? That was Benny, the blockchain bartender. He really runs the show. Could this be, though, a stepping stone for mass adoption? Because if more people have access, let's face it, to faster devices that can be faster wallets, isn't that what we want?
They're quite fast.
yeah, wait, can I double down on the conspiracy?
Double down, please.
So after reading this, I went up, looked a little bit on the internet, and the thing is, this could possibly be very, very cancerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's people were talking about this. They're going to have an antenna every 250 feet.
Don't they now already?
No, okay. I think now and the wavelengths are way shorter. So people are asking a lot of questions, and it's all of these AT&T and all those guys are really kind of pushing this down and not really talking about any of these implications.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's are we trading I don't know low latency for for cancer? I don't know what's going on, but
I mean that's one of the questions that we all haven't answered. But at the end of the day, I have to say that everybody sitting in this room over the course of the last 15 years, most likely, if those studies are right, is dying. I mean, they're yet to be proven. Okay,
don't want to do it faster.
I want to ask a question though. I'm going to be a little bit annoying in this, but so just to understand your position, you're saying a new communications technology, which is more of an evolution of an existing one, is cancerous, yet replacing the entire monetary system is a responsible.
Can you explain that technology and why it's so good? This 5G.
It's a way to get people internet faster. With
but what is it? What is the tech? What is it?
It's a newer way to transmit bits over the air.
But how does it work?
It's lower bandwidth,
I know Bitcoin
lower waves or something. I don't know.
You're welcome to open the 3GPP releases. There are a lot of them. There are thousands of pages each. They're open. They're built
thousands of pages.
Yeah.
Did you read them? Do you know? Really? Can maybe tell us what is how it works?
I'm not a radio frequency expert.
Yeah, me neither. I just can't just take anything that's put in my.
But can't somebody say the same thing in reverse to you? Hold on.
For sure.
In reverse to you saying, what is this Bitcoin thing?
Yeah, and I can
You
say,
know, I do
no
not
doubt.
I
understand
can say I
it,
know, and I can say
therefore-
that I do,
and
and that's why I
therefore-
chose to use it, because I do understand it, and I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't, and I was afraid, because it's weird.
But there are many still in the, walking around that don't.
Yeah, a lot of times we recommend that the Bitcoin embassy, you have to understand it first, maybe buy a little bit, use it, don't just go and, dump your bank account.
And
in it.
AT&T would say, use it a little bit, the 5G. We'll see how
Well,
fast
yeah,
it
why like
works.
rollouts until 2020?
But,
Well-
please.
Being maybe the older person in the room.
Now, first of all, I
mean,
just want
please-
to recommend. I love the evangelists. Yeah, no, but you guys are here to assist me because I, in fact, am the oldest person in the
Oh,
room.
sorry.
But go ahead. But go ahead. Being the older,
Respect. However, if you guys remember, when first cell phone was invented, it was a block that only rich people have been able to hold.
the size
in
of
their-
this.
The size of this, a
Essentially.
little less, and
A
that
little
in
less,
their car only. Everybody had said that it is cancerous, and don't touch it and don't get close to that. And back in my days at Intel, we were educated not to use cell phones in the elevators. People
True.
still do that, however. And there's a point of not living in a building upon which there is an antenna. Nowadays, it is
Yeah, but we
advised
still
to
don't
live.
know that it isn't cancerous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that-
but now it is advised to live under the antenna because otherwise you get more cancer. But people do use cell phones.
God, I'll go live underneath the
Yeah,
IoT
because
but
it spreads out.
Not
it
only
spreads
people
out.
use cell phones, they give them to their 9-year-olds.
Exactly. You give that to
Yes.
kids, and you put it on bracelets on kids to track them and GPS them and find them and everything. And cell phones are all around, even though however, nobody really knows, however cancerous they might be. And you get some limitations. For example, you're not maybe using them in elevators, but you do use them out in the open space. Or you do use them within buildings, and you use or you don't use repeaters in the elevators, in the buildings, in parking areas or
Yep, exactly.
basements, etc. So every new technology has been blamed to be cancerous, and maybe it is. Maybe some person will check that, and probably this was checked, the level of cancer rates in the last 20 years ever since cell phones
Have they
were
risen?
invented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe they've just risen just because you know about them much more, and people don't just die, but you know what they died for. So we need to take that into careful.
Or maybe
Yeah,
there's air
I
pollution all around as
I
well, and that's
completely-
the reason for it.
Yep.
I completely agree, but there's a spectrum, and we're always playing on that. Okay, this is a little bit, the body can handle this, the body can handle this, but with 5G, there are clear scientific kind of papers that are talking about how this is a jump in terms of of what we know is damaging to the human body.
Okay.
These waves are damaging, but this is like a jump because it's more frequent, it's shorter waves, and this could potentially be very bad. So
So
I
what will
mean-
be the balance? There's always a balance. If you find out that people are 20% more more sickening with cancer in the last 20 years, would you have given up your cell phone? Maybe not, I don't know. Would you have not given this to your 5 years old? Maybe yes. But there's always a limit. You will not be able to give up on your cell phone, however cancerous you might find it is.
yeah, so
right?
for now I'm gonna stick with 4G, and thankfully
Yeah.
we're in a country that the regulation is gonna take a while for this
Yeah.
stuff to come here, and by then hopefully a bunch of people in the U.S. and Korea are gonna show up with cancer, and then we'll
Or
shit,
they might
let's not do it.
But Gal,
Then we'll
you
develop,
want to jump in? I can see
Right.
this.
So what I
Medicines.
want to say is that's possibly true. I think that saying the FDA and those guys are not looking at this stuff is perhaps an aggressive stance. I do want to talk about
These are
benefits
the
of-
biggest cartels in the United States, right?
So-
They pay the most for lobbying.
You should know.
I think that. I think that's an interesting position. I think that there's other things we should talk about regarding these stuff about what it can do for adoption. Because I think we can talk about this and have a fuller discussion about the RF, and we can bring the RF experts and talk to the cancer scientists and the FDA and talk about the different countries. But I think there's
And there was a time when red wine was bad for you also.
Yep. And chocolate
Now
as
it's
well.
recommended to drink, and that might switch again.
They
But-
told us that bread is good. That's what they said.
No, but
bread
the
is
thing,
good.
I think, look, the
Red
point
meat is
of the
bad.
studies is, red wine was bad for you, then chocolate was good for you, then, at the end of the
Craig
day.
Wright is a
It's
Yeah,
everything
so-
moves around. But when we talk about mass adoption, and here
Yeah.
I'm asking whether, because look, technology, this scalability, apropos, okay? All of this will need faster technology, no?
Not necessarily. All these IoT stuff, I don't know why they need to be so heavy on information. The truth is, I don't know. I'm not an expert in it. I think it seems forced. I think it's not going in a positive direction. I don't like this kind of futurism. It's just not. it's not like you're getting great products, so you're gonna get them like your computer. So okay, so my fridge is also gonna spy on me and break after half a year. So what? Like I have
I
a
know,
lot
but
of-
a lot of people would say, all I want is this device of mine to just go faster and better. I don't care who sees me.
I can stream video.
I don't know if the
but-
bandwidth is the limit though, like the internet bandwidth.
So I want to talk about.
Gal, responsible person here.
I want to talk about 3 positive things where 5G could benefit blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So 3 different things that could happen. Number 1, and that is from a consumer standpoint. One of the things that people talk about the problems with blockchains in general is that they can't read the real world. If you now have a way for information that can be trusted to come from sensors and be inputted into whatever system that you want, that increases the value of cryptographic systems.
Wait,
in general.
what's wrong with what we have right now?
Because if you wanted to have a house that's owned on a master coin, and then if ownership changes, you can get the actual access to the house instead of calling the police in. Now you can have a lock like that would do that. So
Yeah,
that's
but why do you need
don't
5G?
you don't need 5G if you want to have that in every
And
house.
you want it like if I lose the
Why?
key to the Bitcoin and the house
but-
and the master coin, and my house is.
So custody is a problem for sure. We can talk about
Yeah,
that.
but 5G is cellular communication. If
That's
you're
true.
talking about a house, it's connected via a cable or some kind of
Yeah, does your
infrastructure.
Wi-Fi always work really well?
What?
Is your Wi-Fi always up? Does that work really
The
well?
answer to that is
Yeah.
no.
Most of the time.
One of the promises of 5G is not just better bandwidth and lower latency, but also the ability to have a lot more subscribers, a lot more devices connected at once. So in that sense, if you wanted to have multiple sensors deployed everywhere.
Convinced, bring it on.
I don't.
I'm convinced, bring
Guys,
it on.
do
Bring all the
you remember
fiber,
the time?
everything.
Do you remember the time that computers and Wi-Fi has worked in only about 500 megabytes and not 1 giga? Not speaking about 100 giga.
Yep.
Nowadays, 100 giga is like a standard. It's base because there's an overload on the network. And there's overload of applications that are developed and uses.
And there'll be more of an
people,
overload.
an overload of videos and,
Yeah.
and movies and that are being sent over that that baseline. So we need it faster always, because if you guys say that making it faster is not that necessary, then remember the people who have said that who will ever need a computer to have more than 64K in it. It sounds exactly
That's
the
a
same.
good argument, but if the American companies and the whole government are agreeing to put the 5G in and they're not like fixing their roads and not taking care of their citizens, drug epidemics and stuff, I think it's pretty
Yeah,
good. I'm not gonna just trust anything that comes out of there. Maybe if Israelis made it, I don't know. The Japanese made it, yeah.
Maybe.
But these Americans, they're known to poison their citizens. I'm like.
So I want to give another.
Maybe you
So
talk
you
about
said
the prices,
you gave the
the costs
computer.
of that.
You gave the computer quote. I want to give another quote from that area, and that is nobody would ever buy a house over the internet. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah.
So
Nobody would use their Visa on the internet.
So what do you think?
Credit
Is it
card.
good or bad for electronic payment systems, decentralized ones, to have more people used to buying stuff on the internet, be it gaming, which is a big use case,
Definitely.
be it more people being able to connect. So there's more people who are going to want to buy stuff that are digital. I think that's a positive thing for digital currencies in general.
So I'm not saying this is bad. Like, obviously I want higher speeds, I want more throughput. This is all very good, but we need to look at what do we give for it. And if this is our health, then we kind of need to reconsider. We kind of need to think about it. And yeah, that's the point.
Haven't we already given up? Look, I think people
health.
considered privacy to be, and I know that within the spheres there's a lot of talk about you will regain your privacy, which, come on, folks. Again,
Financial privacy it's possible.
It's possible, but privacy as a whole, let's face it, people thought that would hurt people. There's no such thing as privacy nowadays,
Nope.
okay? I think we can agree on that in a way.
Yeah.
There's some privacy
and
still,
There's a
maybe.
urge of giving up your privacy for many other values instead.
Exactly.
There's a price for your privacy. You give Facebook your privacy in return for more, for whatever.
Connections,
Or commercials that are more
Thank you.
related and relevant to you, or for whatever reasons. You trade your privacy for services for whatever reason. So privacy is something you can sell. The only point of citizens and private people is that we don't quote on it. We don't get the right quote
But
for it, and we don't charge as well on it.
Yeah. I mean, we're selling our own personality
Exactly.
and our own mental space. It's so valuable, and we're giving it away for free, and we're being
I
raped.
agree with you, but you're in the minority because we're living in an age where people feel sad and they tell everybody.
Exactly.
See what I mean?
But maybe
Okay,
they should go
ways
meet
and
their,
they
maybe
do
we
that.
should go
Yeah.
to the
Well,
beach.
I represent companies that, according to the GDPR new regulations, need to register their databases and to control that and to secure that.
Secure, yeah.
Exactly. To secure that. Otherwise, they get fines which are about $800,000 or 4% of their annual whatever sales. This is huge. It's immense.
Yeah, it's
For
immense.
many-
And
for many
Facebook has to come
companies.
out and say
Exactly.
when they compromise
when I
millions of
present-
users' privacy.
And when I present
Yeah.
class action, at least in Israel, it's against applications of very large US companies because of a hurt to their users' privacies, because of breach to their database, etc. So privacy is something you can trade, you can sell or rent at least, or lease at least, or license that. The point is not that whether we do or we don't have privacy. The point is, what's the cost of it?
What's the cost of it?
How
And
you
why
use
aren't we
it.
capitalizing on it?
Exactly, how you capitalize.
How do you capitalize it? Guys, I'm moving us ahead a bit because we're doing phenomenally, but I don't want us to miss more news. Next up, the ETF, or disapproval, so to speak, of the ETFs this week, with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, delaying making a decision on two Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, the Van Eck one and the Bitwise one. Bitwise made a lot of news last week when they basically submitted with, talking about mass manipulation of the markets. All that said, now with the push, all indicators are that more delays are expected, and a final decision isn't expected to be made until the final deadline on October 13th of 2019, which most likely means that it'll all move to 2020. We've been going through these postponements process for years, okay? To begin with, are ETFs something that are so necessary for the sphere to move ahead, let's say specifically in the US? Do they really need them? Or are we just holding our breath for something that the sphere doesn't that much need? And secondly, is this just a way of the old school regime, so to speak, to, not put the kibosh on cryptocurrencies, rather just, procrastinate until they figure out how to bring it into their own sphere?
If I may, it's not the right question, if I may.
Please ask.
Because
You may. God, I love you. Yeah, that's a lawyer.
thank you.
Go ahead.
Because we shouldn't ask whether we really need it. The point is liberty and freedom of people to buy whatever they want, may be it stupid or wise. I can argue how wise it is,
Okay,
in my
tell me.
opinion. However, you don't just ban it or not ban it because people don't really need that. It's not for the government to
It's not for
decide
them to
whether we
decide.
need it. Right.
But it's for
Whether
them to
it's legal.
decide. It's for them to decide if it can be regulated or not. I mean, at the end of the day, they are operating within a nation state, and for this sphere to gain legitimacy and be normalized, doesn't it need the SEC?
But if you buy shares or equity
Yeah.
of a company making weapons, is it right or not? Should we get into that? Or making
Very
drugs? Maybe there's a good answer, a strict answer on that. Or making gambling or gaming or just games.
But
or-
gaming has been regulated. It's done
Exactly.
wonders for that sphere.
Exactly, and it should be
Okay.
regulated as well for the blockchain. That's my theme for all along the years, that blockchain should be regulated and to
right.
live side by side with the regulation, with the old world. But still, ETFs is just a way for common people to get into the blockchain arena, where my uncle and my aunt, they just can't buy a digital wallet or e-wallet and buy blockchain or Bitcoin or whatever, Ether or Ripple or whatever other coin. They just can't. However, they'll try. They're the kind of people who wouldn't even use their credit card on the internet. However, buying an ETF or having your investment advisor buy you a whole bunch of shares, among which would be some of the ETFs would be on a high risk part of your earnings, that actually brings to the people
To a certain percentage of the people who have a portfolio.
at least to those who buy shares.
Yeah, to those who buy shares, not my
securities.
85-year-old mother. That's what I'm saying. 'Cause
Exactly.
You're,
But she
I
has
have
a
not asked
pension.
her to. She
But she has a
pension.
pension fund that will buy
that's
it
true.
for
She has
her.
the pension.
Yeah, so I just hope this happens before this big upcoming recession starts, and ETFs will be approved. You'll be able to put your pension or whatever that is, and your 401k and all the stuff the Americans have, and they could buy some Bitcoin in order to at least have something in the future.
Some
I think
exposure.
Yeah, if they don't
I think
like,
everything
stop the
might
trading on
line
it
up.
or something.
It's gonna be like Brexit, and something will happen with China.
honey,
and-
you are very
and-
optimistic. You've been promising
Everything
this recession
Are you
from
on
the
short
moment
on
you
the
said
market?
that. I
Yes.
don't think it's
He's
that
shorting
soon.
on the
Well,
market.
maybe not until the end of the
all of
program.
this, all this with Mercury will be on like 13
Exactly.
degrees or something, and then we're gonna see everything, Yeah.
When the moon is in the 7th house.
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
Craig Wright is a scammer, and they'll authorize it whenever they want.
No,
It's
Craig
like,
Wright is a scammer, but this moves me ahead to, guys, we're filming this. This is the last topic. We're filming this on April Fool's Day. And I want you each to tell me about your favorite, most outrageous, devious crypto hoax.
Well, of course, my favorite hoaxes, the most that are close to heart, are the ones that are a lot of ICOs in this building. Nothing personal, but these are like, it was amazing to see the whole cycle of starting to bullshit and getting out of control. The amount of people that got sucked in, the media firms that told people all kinds of stuff. It was really, I'll never forget it.
Hype.
I'll never
ICO
forget
hype.
seeing the people running to buy Bleep, not knowing what it is, and that was amazing. If you want to do a class action suit, please
Please talk to me.
Yeah. So that was your favorite crypto hoax. Yes, please.
So I think talking about BitConnect or about ICOs is easy. I like to look at the less obvious ones. So there's one that I really like. It's actually kind of older. It's like 2014, which is a hoax in the hashing function of a cryptocurrency. So not a lot of people know this, but in CryptoNote, in the original version of CryptoNote, they made a hashing function that was really, 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 really slow on purpose. And they had a secret implementation that was much, much faster, letting them mine efficiently. And now that there was a big pre-mine, there was 2 years of pre-mine, they switched that into Monero. Monero just took the same hashing function from CryptoNote, not knowing that it's actually a scam. And there was this guy that was able to mine Monero on CPUs on Amazon and make hundreds of thousands of dollars because the hash function was a scam in itself. It was a clever mathematical scam to take the hashing function.
A function
the
can
Monero
be a
people,
scam.
they didn't know it was a scam. They didn't know they were honest about it. But there was this old scam that they sort of took ownership of by mistake, and then somebody was mining 60% of the network hash by using that scam over time until they were caught. And it was legit, but it was really interesting.
Entirely. Yeah. Try and top that, guys, please.
That did not come out on April 1st, but the one thing that I liked legally is, and I will not mention names, is a legal claim saying that the white paper of a certain ICO is not committing. It's just fictional. I didn't really mean it. I just wrote it. It doesn't mean that I mean it. It's just that it was written by mistake.
It's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion. It's a description of it. It means nothing to me, and I'm totally not committed by it. It was fascinating. It was hilarious.
It's a white paper,
Is that
but
the
maybe
Elon
it's
Musk
great.
defense?
Okay, darling, your last one, and I'll give you mine.
So I think what I'm thinking about is there was an exchange called BitGrail. I don't know if people know about this. This was an exchange that was hacked in the stupidest way. I had some stuff in there and I lost it all, obviously, but it was basically he did not. What he did in the front end was not attached to anything. So your balance was in your browser. You could right click, do inspect element, and then just change the numbers to give you more money. And that's how that was hacked. Like the entire.
Amazing.
Yeah,
It's actually quite genius in a way.
Yeah, it was such a joke. Oh my God.
Best bug bounty ever.
Yeah.
Now I've got my
That's why you
favorite
need
one
QA
yet to be
department.
materialized. And I thought it was an April Fool's joke, but it wasn't said on April. I'll give you the line, you give me the man. Who promised to basically cut his personal member, when Bitcoin reaches a million?
My homeboy.
No.
John McAfee.
McAfee, nice guys. To me, he's I really
The
find
bravest
the man.
person.
No, at the end of the day, he might be president one day. That's not a scenario that's not far from reality.
I think
2019.
I want to say that I think he just lives his life the way that he wants to live his life. No questions asked, not giving a fuck, and he's just
Yeah, I know.
You have to admire this. You really have
Let's
to admire.
raise our glass to being 70, coked up somewhere on an island and never paying your taxes.
McAfee.
I'll drink to that.
Here's to McAfee, guys.
Cheers.
Fabulous. Thank you. Happy April Fool's Day. That was it for us on Blockchain on Booze. Don't forget to check us out, BLOCKTV, on every social platform you have. We actually do exist, and we'll be right back.
Ooh.